It's time now for the Wiltfong Whiparound with our Director of Recruiting, Steve Wiltfong, here in studio. Steve, it was just a couple days ago that we were in these exact chairs watching five-star defensive lineman Eddrick Houston pick Ohio State. Now that he's in the fold, what does he add to that defensive line room?
Well, Buckeyes have the nation's #2 recruiting class right now, Emily, and this is one of the most versatile, ferocious defensive linemen in the country. 270 pounds, can play across the front, but Ohio State, they're going to use him as a big defensive end. He's a relentless, high-motor football player that's really good with his hands, fantastic wrestler, runs track in the spring, and is just a guy that makes all the hustle plays. So really big pickup for Ohio State as they add him to five-star defensive lineman Justin Scott. They have 4 5-stars in the fold right now, including the 2 receivers, Jeremiah Smith and Mylan Graham.
Pretty impressive. That's good for the #2 class in the nation. 22 total commitments in this class, so probably not too many new additions, but what should we be aware of coming down the block for Ryan Day and his staff?
Well, I think they could take up to 4 more guys in this class here, and there's 2 guys that are obvious that they would love to have right now, and they're both offensive linemen. You have 5-star offensive tackle, the #1 player in the country at his position in our rankings, Brandon Baker, and I think he's closing in on a college decision. I think he'll make one early in the fall, and I have Ohio State near the top of his list. I think them and Texas are the programs that are in great position at this point in this process. Now, I said on Whip Around in the recruiting show earlier this week that I would maybe give the edge to Texas right now, but he has a fantastic relationship with Justin Fry. He's absolutely loved his experiences in Columbus, and Ohio State should not be discounted as he continues to dot I's and cross T's with this process. He has a big official visit coming up with Nebraska. They're a program potentially rising with him. And then Oregon, you never discount the Ducks, Emily, as you know. And if they're a hat on the table, there's been times where we've liked Oregon's position with Brandon Baker. And then you have Jordan Seaton, the #3 interior offensive lineman in the 24/7 Sports player rankings out of IMG Academy, East Coast native. There was a time where I loved Ohio State's position. I even had a crystal ball forecast in favor of the Buckeyes for Jordan Seaton. But at one point, it looked like both parties were going their different ways. Well, they've rekindled the old magic. I think Ohio State is on the short list for Jordan Seaton. You know, he's obviously got high interest in Alabama, had a phenomenal official visit there in the summer. You have Florida in the mix. Oklahoma is certainly in there. South Carolina. Ohio State, I think that he's going to get back for an official visit at some point. And, you know, we'll see if they can get back to the top of the mountain with Jordan Seaton. And then I think as far as the other 2 positions, I think that they would love to add another pass rusher, another defensive lineman, and then another safety. And those are guys that we could see them evaluate on senior film, or we could see them get that spatula out as the season goes, because these teams got to play games. So you might feel good about your commitments now. If you lose a few games and the Buckeyes are hot, they may be coming with that spatula.
That's the thing. We got so many guys committed already, especially 5-stars. We're about to see another one happen this weekend with the #3 player in the state of Florida, and that is the 5-star defensive lineman David Stone, set to announce on Saturday. So we've got Oklahoma, Michigan State, and Miami look to be the favorites. But what are you hearing just a few days out?
Yeah, and we talked about him on Monday too, but this is the hottest name in the country right now, going into his announcement and talking to his mom on Wednesday morning and talking to sources with knowledge of the recruitment on Wednesday. Look, Oklahoma, they've always felt good. He's an Oklahoma native. He's been to campus numerous times. His sister goes to school there. They love Brent Venables. They love Todd Bates. They love the trajectory of the program. But I'm telling you right now, nobody should be surprised if this young man picks Miami on Saturday. His family loves it in Coral Gables. His mom loves that he was able to go to IMG Academy and kind of spread his wings down there and become a man, and the state of Florida has been good to him. This is a young man that wants to be a doctor. They like what Miami offers in that capacity. The smaller class sizes at Miami is another thing that's attractive. And then there's no program recruiting him harder right now. There's no program in touch with him and his family more than Mario Cristobal and company. And so the Cristobal's on Oklahoma. It's been that way for like 2 years now. But I'm telling you here, as we hit the home stretch, and Michigan State's in there, but Miami, it could very much land David Stone here going into his announcement this weekend.
I love when we have no idea what's going to happen. It adds to the intrigue for sure. We got another commitment on Saturday, the top uncommitted safety in the 2024 class, 4-star Zaquan Patterson. It's looking like, Auburn, Florida State, Miami, and Michigan, maybe the front runners in this commitment. What are you hearing a few days out?
Yeah, and Ohio State trying to hang around, but we would have mentioned him in that first segment. Yeah, you look, I think that Florida State is the program right now that I think is best positioned a few days before he announces his college decision. But this is a young man that loves Auburn, loves Coach Zach Etheridge, loves what Coach Hugh Freeze and company are building, and there's some confidence around the Plains that they'll ultimately land Zaquan Patterson in Michigan. 2 summer visits to Ann Arbor, has a great relationship with Coach Klink, certainly loves what he's seen on the field with that defense, with those defensive backs, with their player development. He was there for the barbecue at the Big House, so I think Michigan's near the top of his list as well. And obviously Miami's doing everything they can to keep him home, and they've been pushing for Zaquan Patterson as long as anybody. But Florida State got great relationships at the school. Coach Mike Norvell and company are real hot right now, and I think that Zaquan Patterson is feeling Florida State as well.
Okay, we'll see what happens with him. Another 4-star, Grant Brix. He's one of the highest rated uncommitted offensive tackles, which is a very prime position. A lot of people want a piece of that in the 2024 class. Some interested parties include the likes of Kansas State, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Alabama. There's a lot more involved in this recruitment. What's the latest when it comes to both his timeline and the ongoing recruitment?
Well, I think as far as timeline goes, anytime now. I think I'm expecting this young man to make a college decision this week at some point. And when I look at those finalists that you named, the programs that I think are in the best shape for him are Nebraska and Oklahoma. I think with Nebraska, the excitement around Matt Rule and that new coaching staff, the opportunity to play very close to home, those are a couple things that have Nebraska in a really good position for him. And then Oklahoma, there might not be a better offensive line coach in the country than Bill Bedenbaugh. He's got a great relationship with Grant and his family. He's loved his experiences in Norman. And again, program trajectory, the way Oklahoma is recruiting, what they've been, what they're capable of. I think those are all things that excite Grant Brix. And this is a young man that's extremely touted because he's a tough, physical football player that can bend, plays with great leverage at the point of attack. He's a fantastic wrestler. When you talk about what Matt Rule is trying to build at Nebraska and what Brent Venables is trying to build at Oklahoma, they're looking for guys' culture. Grant Brix fits that culture that both those programs are trying to have.
Both those programs would really love to land his services. Steve, you know what I'd love to do? I don't know if we've done before. Ask for likes in person. Look, we got the double thumbs up from Steve. We got a little dance going too. I love it. Come on, if you have not hit the like button after seeing that, what are you doing?
And subscribe.
And subscribe. And as a reminder, the only way you can be a part of the chat is if you are subscribed. And the chat has some questions for you right now, so let's throw some out. This one's coming from Tyler, saying, Steve, what's the latest on 4-star athlete Daniel Hill out of Mississippi after pushing back his commitment date?
Well, obviously, we thought for a while that he was going to commit on Wednesday. He did not announce his college decision on Wednesday. And we've liked South Carolina for quite some time for Daniel Hill. And as you see right here, this is a young man that can catch the football, but he's also ferocious between the tackles, over 200 pounds, state champion in the highs and the lows, multiple position capability with this young man. South Carolina, there might not be a position player or an offensive player that's higher on their board than Daniel Hill. They recruited him as such, and I thought for a while that's where he would ultimately end up, but with him delaying his decision makes things more exciting. He's been to Alabama quite a bit. Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide have had him in Tuscaloosa a bunch. Their running back pedigree, the program standard, Coach Gillespie and company. If Daniel Hill ended up at Alabama, I certainly would not be surprised here with him delaying his decision. And look, there's a third program that's really been trying to make a move with Daniel Hill for a long time. That's the Tennessee Vols. They've gotten him to campus a couple times, and they're trying to hang around in this recruitment as well. So with him delaying his decision, I would say I thought South Carolina coming into Wednesday, so now it leaves it more up in the air, right?
The little SEC battle going on for Daniel Hill services. This next one is from Chris. I love it. He wants to know, while you're in Nashville, are you checking out any of the Tennessee talent? We know that you're here just to see us at 24/7 Sports headquarters, but you have some other things you're doing while you're here, right?
Well, you guys have kind of become a quarterback hotbed down here. Coach Riley and those guys doing a good job developing quarterbacks around here in this area. I have 2 visits locked in. Jared Curtis, Nashville Christian Academy quarterback, our number 2 player in the 2026 player rankings. Went over to see him on Wednesday, and he's obviously a fantastic talent that's already being courted by the best schools in the nation: Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Ohio State, South Carolina, some of the programs that he's high on. And then very early this morning, like when I say early, before 6 a.m. early, George McIntyre and his Brentwood Academy teammates beat the heat, get out there and work out at 5:40 in the morning. Number 2 quarterback in the 2025 player rankings. I think this is an SEC battle, Emily. You got Alabama. There's some people that think he'll ultimately end up at Alabama, but I know he's also very high on LSU. Very excited about this Tennessee program. He can just feel the energy around Knoxville and this rising program and the fan support that they have in state. And he's also keeping an eye on Michigan. I think he's going to be tough to get out of SEC country.
Yeah, when you grow up in this area, it's just tough to leave that highly coveted SEC country. Steve, so glad that you were here in studio. I'm glad we were able to get this segment done in person because it's such a treat. And he gave us a nice little taste of some of the information that he's gathering while he's down here. But of course, this is where you can read the rest of Steve's work on 247sports.com. And as always, for that really good, exclusive, juicy information, become a VIP member today.